Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to 15 Minutes of Fame with Dawn Branch. And our special guest today is Mr. Mychal Watts. Welcome, Michael. He is a celebrity photographer from New York City, and we're here to learn all about his journey and his walk. Not only is he a celebrity photographer, but he's a United States Marine. So I'm anxious to find out how that all came about. And thank you for serving, sir. So,
No,
welcome.
thanks for the support. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you. Good to
I'm
be
honored.
good.
So, my first question, who is Mychal Watts? And go.
Who is Mychal Watts? I don't think I'm anybody really special. I just, my mom raised me in a way where, um, to appreciate a lot of things, and to be able to be respectful for to a lot of people and for the way that they are and for the things that they do, because otherwise you're going to get that respect in return. So,
Yeah.
I really appreciate the knowledge that she gave me to make me who I am, which um, leads to the story about how I became a U.S. Marine.
Oh,
Because my mom basically was my bud. That was my best friend. And when I was in high school, I was going to an all boy high school in Brooklyn, and I had this issue with one of my teachers. He was like this racist dude. He was just like a mess. So one day, him and I got into something, and he called me the N word,
oh boy.
and I got upset, and I stormed out of the school. I just walked out of the school, just left.
Hmm.
So on my way home, I was on the subway. I was on my way home, so I get on the train and I'm pulling to my station in Queens where I get off the train at, and the door opens up and there's this poster that says, "The few, the proud, the Marines, become one of us." So I stepped back on the train and I went right to the recruiter's office and I signed up right there.
Wow. No mommy's permission. You just said she was your best friend,
18. I
but
was
you
18.
didn't consult what
No,
the
because I was
world.
already 18, so she really didn't, and I didn't tell her about it for like I was on the delayed entry program, so that meant that I had to wait until they put my platoon together. They
Okay.
had guys put together a platoon or a battalion, and I didn't tell her. I didn't
Hmm.
tell her until about a week before I was due to leave for boot camp.
Wow. Okay.
Um, and it
So I
was
wanted to talk to you about photography later on in the show. Keep this in the back of your head, how the discipline that you learned in the Marines helped you with life skills today, as well as in photography. So that's something that I think I want to ask you later on in the program. But before we get to that, I want to introduce everyone to how you even started in photography. Now, I know that in your bio you mentioned you were a lab tech at one point. So how did that come about?
but the lab tech didn't come until after. Once I got out of the military and I was working for an organization that dealt with diesel technology, and I hated the job. I
Okay.
really I hated the job. It was just I mean I just coming up out of the Marine Corps, I was structured in a certain way, and I had a certain structure to the way that I behaved, and the way that I act toward other people. But the civilian life, when I had to get used to the civilian life, it was really hard because civilians have no structure. It was like they have no structure and they just everything is done off on a whim. So I had a problem with that.
Mm.
And at the time, I had started taking pictures when I was in Japan. Um, and when I came back stateside, all of the
So
pictures,
Japan was through the Marines. Is that how
yeah,
you got to? Okay.
I went to Japan after boot camp. No, I went from Japan to my A school, and then from A school I went to blood. I went to boot camp. Then from boot camp, I went to my A school. And then from my A school, I went to Japan. I spent
Wow.
13 months in Japan where I bought a camera and I just started taking pictures because I didn't want to be on deployment and not having any photos. So I took all these pictures, came back home to the United States, came back stateside, processed the film. None of the pictures came out. It was just all bad pictures, really just bad pictures. So it put me on a quest to find out like what that was all about. And I was like, I'm gonna find out like why these pictures didn't come out. So this is why I don't have to go through this again.
Okay.
And I started to do it, and I just kept on and kept on and kept on. So then I quit the job that I had when I had got out of the military, and I decided to go to take a course in photography at the Germain School of Photography in Manhattan. So one of my instructors, he was like, "Yo," he said, "You've done this before?" I said, "No, that's why I'm here. I want to learn photography." He's like, "You seem to be doing pretty well." He said, "How'd you like to be my assistant?"
Wow.
I was like, "Sure, no problem." So I went and I assisted him for a couple of jobs, and I ended up finishing the school with like an A plus and everything like that. And after that, I decided I wanted to work in the darkroom. So I lied to get this darkroom job. I just outright just lied. I said, "Yeah, I know how to do this. I can do
Oh,
it."
wow.
Because
Okay.
I had my own little personal darkroom at home, but that was for me. That was personally for me. I never printed professionally. So I lied and I got the job. And
And what company was this for?
this was called it was called Box One Photographics, and it was in New
Okay.
York on 31st Street, and it was a professional photo darkroom. Now I'm in my heyday. I'm like getting up every day, going to work in the darkroom. I'm doing photography. Perfect. Could it get any better?
Okay.
And I was doing printing for like certain photographers who come in and they'd be like, I want Mychal to print these pictures because he's technically proficient. I like the way he prints. Cool. I go, I print their pictures. So now they want to hook me up with stuff because I'm looking at all of their work. I was like, I can do this. I can do this. So he introduced me to another photographer who I wanted to use his studio to do some headshots. So I go to his studio to do the headshots, and then I went back again and then again. So then he said to me, "Well, instead of you paying me to use my studio, I'll just, you can work for me and you can use the studio, on your free time." I was like, "Okay, cool." Come to find out, his name was Kevin Mazer. Kevin Mazer is like one of the top entertainment photographers in the country right now. And so he is the one who brought me into the entertainment industry. I mean, we had clients like we had Billy Joel, we had Elton John, we had Mariah Carey, we had Kevin even had Prince, we had Nirvana, we had everybody. I mean, we
Now,
had.
you sent me some photos. Can I share them now with the audience? Okay. The audience, bear with me because you guys have been with me knowing that it takes me a minute to focus on this stuff. Okay. I'm excited. All right. So let's see. Can you see this?
Yeah, I can say it.
All right. So who are these people?
Let me move this out of the way. Bobby Brown and Mike Epps. That was at the that was at the Essence Festival last 2 years ago. Yeah, I
What
was
are their
doing.
personalities like?
I was acting. I was actually the only one in the room at the time because I had just been introduced to Bobby Brown down what was it, the day before, because his
Wow.
publicist ended up being the publicist that I worked for. Her name was Juanita. I can't remember her last name. She's gonna kill me. Her name was Juanita, and Juanita is the one who started me off because she was a publicist for Jive Records, I believe.
Okay.
The record labels. So anyway, she was the one who started me doing entertainment. So I hadn't seen her in like 30 something years. So when I saw her with Bobby Brown, we became friends. So she introduced me to Bobby Brown, and he had me just like following them around. So we went up to Mike Epps' room, and they were just hanging out. And then Bobby Brown was like, "That's right, you shoot spaghetti, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Come on, let's take some pictures." So that's why we got like these pictures. It was just me and these guys, and Bobby Brown and his wife, and Mike Epps and his wife.
Awesome.
So I was actually doing shooting for Netflix, the
Oh,
Netflix Comedy Hour comedy show. It was called Netflix After Dark.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, who's this?
That is Tamron Hall. Tamron Hall is a sweetheart. I was shooting portraits for people.com at the Essence Festival. And when they came to me and they told me, they said, Michael, how soon are you going to be set up? And I said, I'm set up right now. And they said, well, Tamron Hall is coming in to get her portrait done. I was like, okay.
Mm.
So she came in and she basically was like, I didn't realize she was so tall. And she
Oh, yes.
basically came in and we looked eye to eye and she's like, it's such a pleasure to meet you. And, I'm looking forward to some really good photographs. And then I asked her if she used to be a model. She's like, no, but I know she was a cheerleader. So she said, well, come on, let's do this. And I said, okay. And we had a little conversation going. And she gave me some great images, and that whole series of portraits from the people.com at the Essence Festival was fun. I had a great time doing those.
Now, she just looks so at ease. Like when I look at this picture, it looks like she came in and she sat down and she said, and she left. Like, how do you get them so comfortable so fast? What is your secret? Like, how do you do that?
Well, body chemistry has a lot to do with taking good pictures, getting your subject to relax, So if you appear to them like that you're not going to attack them, and your voice is, you have a certain pitch to your voice when you're speaking to them, and
Mm-hmm.
they respect that,
Okay.
celebrities, they do respect that, and she's
Beautiful photo.
straight up down to earth, really, really beautiful woman, down to earth.
Thank you for sharing that. Uh-oh, who's this?
That's Kim Willie.
Is that? Oh,
Yeah,
was this because it's the comedy thing you were on?
yeah, that was the Netflix comedy thing.
Nice,
So
nice.
Kim, this is what they actually carried her out in like this chariot. It was hilarious.
She
You know,
looks like rah,
yeah,
rah.
she's like, come here, Michael, I got a picture to take. And I
I
said,
know,
okay.
she's like this.
She said, all of these guys, she got all of these guys around. And she said, I want this picture. You gotta send me this picture. So I was like, okay.
That's awesome.
So
So much fun.
yeah.
Okay, who's this guy looking hip
You know,
hop-ish? What's this?
everybody knows that's Tommy. Tommy from
Oh,
Power. You ever watch
oh
Power? You don't watch Power?
no.
No, that's Tommy from Power. He's like the villain, one of the bad guys, but great actor, Tommy Sikora.
All right, sir. Uh-oh. Tell
That
us
was
about this.
that was a job I did for a client, Helen Yarmack. She has all of these furs, and we my someone who's representing me, his name is Thomas Zoomer. Um, he had me shoot this thing for her as a promo piece so that he can show her my work. And
Okay.
we had this shoot set up and everything with these bears, and that bear is like $5,000-$6,000.
Is
And
it because of this? Is that a real diamond right here?
yeah, matter of fact, it is.
Ooh, wow.
And that
Did
hat,
they have like security around when you did this? Like, how did they make sure you
yeah,
didn't
I mean, they had security, everything was pretty secure. But I'm sure, yeah, I think that was pretty much a real diamond. But that hat that she has on is like is almost $3,000-$4,000 as well too.
Wow.
You know?
One day, Michael, one day. Oh, this is here right here. This is the name right here.
Yeah, Helen
That
Yarmack.
awesome. And look at the teddy bear dripping in jewels.
Yeah, so you ladies, when you're looking for Valentine's Day gifts, make sure you ask for one of those.
Yeah, okay. And then we have one more.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that was me and Bernie chilling in West Wall Street. I gotta have Bernie around to protect me when I'm shooting the protest. I covered over 30, 39 protests. Like
39. Oh,
39.
wow. So what was all of that like? Because you're coming from that, you just said you're in like a private Essence, all paid for trip, celebrities, $1 million worth of jewelry, and now you're in the streets. What? Tell me about that. Let's talk
Running gun
about that.
photography. Running gun photography.
Oh,
Basically,
wow.
running and gunning. That's what it's all about. Keep your
Yeah.
head on the swivel and keep moving and don't stop. you take your shot and you keep moving. I covered the protest. The first 2 nights I got caught in a riot in Brooklyn. And worst part about that night, the second night, was I hadn't downloaded all of my images from the first riot
Mm-hmm.
to my computer. So I had the same card in my camera the second night I was going out. And my car got full and I'm running because the cops are coming because these guys had just lit this car on fire. And it was just starting to get like really hectic. So I'm trying to run and load my camera with a new card at the same time. And as I'm running, I'm fumbling and I dropped the card. So I couldn't, and it's not like I could stop and pick the card up because there was people running behind me. I got trampled. So I lost a whole night and a half worth of protest pictures.
Wow.
When it was like really it was really, really crazy. It was really crazy. And I was like really upsetting. So
yeah,
images, I mean, I still had images that I shot, but those were like crazy images of fires and smoke and, silhouetted people in the smoke and in the fire and, the police and people, everybody in the police's face and the police in their face and, people screaming and yes, it was nuts. It was nuts.
well, the pictures that you did get, were you able to upload that on like a website where viewers can look at them and maybe purchase them?
Yeah.
What is your website, by the way?
I'll you know what I do? I'll send you a link to my Shutterstock account.
Okay.
I'm a Shutterstock because I used to be with Getty, but that's another story.
Okay.
Which I was not.
All right, know the story. Fine.
So what I'll do is I'll send you my Shutterstock link, and you'll be able to see all of the pictures that I shot for the protest and upload it.
All right, awesome. I have a question though. With all the running that you were doing, how heavy are these cameras that you could do that? Like, do you have a camera now that we can look at just to see what like the cameras that you?
Is
that the one you use?
This is the one that I carry with me throughout the protest. It's a Canon 1DX Mark II, and this camera is great because for one thing, it shoots like 13 frames a second, 13, 14 frames a second. And I could just run and gun, and it's waterproof, so I can shoot in the rain, and I have a harness. It's a harness that goes, one hangs from this side and another one hangs from this side. So I'll keep a camera with a wide angle lens, like a 16 to 35 millimeter lens on my left side. And I keep this one hanging from my harness on the right side. And the harness is so sturdy that I can actually run and the cameras won't fall or anything. But if I had the cameras hanging out in front of me, it would just be very awkward.
Yeah, and
So
also
now,
stopping and
so now we all have harnesses where the cameras hang to your side and you can just pull the camera up and you can just go from one to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, back and forth. Which a lot of time when you're running and gunning, you're shooting certain stuff and then you're going to the other body and you're shooting certain stuff and then you're going back to the other body again, so, but you have to keep your head on a swivel to make sure that you're not going to get hit with a bottle or, because me and this one guy from the Daily News, him and I was partners, man. He was watching my back, I was watching his back, and he let me know what was going on. I let him, and we had never met each other, but we were photographers.
And you just knew you got each other.
To protect each other, and that was, till this day, I've never seen him since, and we formed an alliance that night, and it was cool. It was really cool. But the thing about him was he had a gas mask and he had a helmet, and I didn't.
He was prepared. Yeah.
Yeah, he was really prepared. But all I had on was like, I made sure that I wore like a leather jacket. I had a leather jacket on, so that this way, if anything nothing would really pierce the jacket, but I could get it in my head. So it was like these things that you have to prepare yourself for before you went out in the street.
Well, you and I know each other off camera, and my humor. I'm really kind of silly and off-centered. So while you're telling me running and gunning, I'm envisioning you snapshotting, dropping, rolling, leaping with your Marine skills, shooting your camera, dropping, just don't mind me. I'm just special. But see how those skills came? God knew what he was doing. He was preparing you. Okay. So wow. And then just off center, right? About how much is a camera, something like that cost? About how much? You don't have to tell me exactly how much, but
This one
like,
is about what you would put down for a down payment on a car. This camera does 4K video. It does 4K video, and it's a 20 megapixel, per image. But a lot of people be like, well, there's cameras out there that have 50 megapixels. Yeah, but it's not the quantity of megapixels, it's the quality of the megapixels. And this camera, the quality is really good. That camera costs like almost $6,000.
Sheesh.
You
And
know,
see, this is why I guess professionals charge as much. Not only because you have the eye, but because the investment in the equipment and the quality. It's like you know what you're doing. I mean, it
well,
is
me,
what it is.
when I build clients for certain jobs, I build rental. I build a fee for rental because my equipment has to be replaced after a certain amount of time. So, when you hire me, you're actually hiring me, and I'm renting my equipment as well, so that this way
Smart.
I can be covered
Hmm.
for repairs, because these cameras are expensive. They're very expensive. So, and
Amen.
the lenses are expensive too. So,
Hmm. Well, we respect the photographer. I know I have my little iPhone, but when I need professional shots, I know where to go.
well,
Um,
when we did that dance thing that you did, that was really cool.
oh, that was fun. But let's tell everybody how I met you though during Hal Jackson Talented Teens. I was a director in Florida, and we went to Aruba, and you were there shooting all those beautiful, young, talented people. It was awesome. So, how did you get with the Hal Jackson's Talented Teens?
I was working for what was the publicist name? She was a publicist for WBLS. Oh, she's gonna kill me.
It's okay. I caught you off guard.
Anyway, the, I was hired by WBLS to do certain things, and then they eventually hired me to do headshots for all of the DJs.
Oh, the
So all of the
DJ.
DJs, yeah, all of the DJs from WBLS. That's how come I know all of them so well, because all of the DJs came to my studio, which I had on 23rd Street at the time, and they came to my studio, and I did headshots for the whole radio station. So when Hal and Debbie came,
Shout
we
out
made
to
a
Debbie
connection.
Jackson.
Yeah, shout
Sorry.
out to Debbie. When they came, Debbie and I and Hal, we just kind of made this connection, and I took the pictures, and they were really happy with the pictures. And then Debbie says to me, gets in contact with me a couple of months later or so. And she calls me. She says, "How would you like to go to St. Martin?" And I was like, "St. Martin?" And I was like, "Why?" So she said, "What's up?" So she says, "Well, we have the talented teams, and we want you to be our photographer." So I was like, "Oh, great!" So Debbie brought me to St. Martin, and I would stay for the whole week. We would get there on a Sunday, and that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I was busy taking pictures of the girls as they go on the tour around the town, and then doing games, like playing on the beach, and all like
Mhm.
beach games and all kind of things. But they were young girls, they were just having a lot of fun. So I would go and I just photograph, document the whole thing for the whole
Yeah.
week. And I did that with Debbie for 10 years or something like that.
Awesome.
Every year it was like a trip to a different island. But every now and then we would have it like at the Roosevelt Hotel here in New York, which was cool
Oh,
too.
yes. 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 Yep. Beautiful. It was a wonderful competition, and I miss it.
It was,
And
yeah,
Miss
good time.
Jackson, if you ever want to start it up again, we're down for the program.
I mean,
She's coming on the show,
I used to
by
be
the
hanging
way.
on the beach at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. It was
Say it
beautiful.
again.
I would be hanging on the beach after a day of shooting all day, and I'd go out
Hmm.
at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and just hang out on the beach. Whereas you can't do that in the United States because you have the cops that chase you away. But over there, Like I
Yeah.
asked the guy, I was like, "Oh, can I go out on the beach?" He said, "This is God's work. This is God's beach. You go out there anytime you want." So
Nice.
that was
Yeah.
nice about being in the Caribbean.
Great memories, great program. It is missed. Shout out to Hal Jackson and Miss Debbie Jackson. We love you.
My
All
sister.
right.
Yes.
Yes. So moving on to now, Rolling Stones is calling you. What was that phone call like?
Oh,
The Rolling Stones
that was an
magazine.
event that I did. A photographer that I used to do printing for in the photo lab. He couldn't do an event, and it was like my first time going out, and he asked me if I would be able to do it. He was like, "You sure?" And I said, "Yeah." So he sent me the information, and I went to Central Park, and I shot the event. And when I shot the event, the next thing I know, the Rolling Stone issue that week ran the photos. And when they ran the photos, I was hooked. I mean, after that, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. And then it started to go from there because I had hooked up with this photographer, Kevin Mazer, and he was turning me on to all of this work because he was overloaded with work. He had so much work, celebrity work and stuff coming in because he was in high demand. So he would send me out as his second shooter. So
Right.
that's how I got to work with like Billy, Joe, and Mariah Carey and all of them because those were all Kevin's clients and I was his second shooter. So whenever he wasn't available, I would do the photo shoot. So then I linked into I got into like a lot of the market, the urban market, and I started shooting for like P Diddy and doing stuff with Tribe Called Quest and all of these other groups and it just went on and on and on from there. And then I just started doing like promo pieces for a lot of artists, and that's how a lot of them got to know me because they knew me from the video sets, from doing videos, all of the music. I think I must have shot about a good 20, 30 videos. I even have these one images of Aaliyah. I found them the other day. I was looking through some slides. And I
Wow.
found some pictures that I took of Aaliyah and DMX
Ooh.
playing with a puppy on a bed. Like it was at a video shoot.
Yeah.
And it was not long after I took those pictures that she was killed in that plane crash. So
Wow.
those pictures mean a lot to me. Those images mean a lot to me. But
Right. And again, if anyone wanted to purchase those, they're on the shutter, they're on your website.
I have to, yeah, they'll be posted on my website. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I mean, you are just, oh, I'm just so blessed to know you. It's almost like, you know, you just meet people at the most random places and the random time. And that was 10 years ago, and we've remained friends
10
ever
years ago,
since.
like 10 years ago?
Yeah, a long time. Well, I'm 30 years old now.
Yeah.
So I did that when I was, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Oh God.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I'm
so
sitting. Okay.
I have a question for you about movies. Have you done movies? I know you did videos. Did you do? Oh, you ever photography? Not yet.
Because I'm not in the union. You have to be in the union.
Oh.
And I've been,
Okay, so let's talk about that. You've done all this work and you're not in the union. Why? What do you have
well,
to do?
because I would say out in LA would be a better market for me to go after a union gig. But there's so many things here in New York that I could do where I don't need to be in, where I don't have to be in the union. I will become a part of the union eventually. I will join the union, because
Okay.
I want to do stills on movie sets. But right now, with technology and these movie cameras, the cameras they do grab shots right off of the video, off of the camera itself. They can
Got
do
it.
so. A still photographer, we're like we're becoming to a point to where it's like, well, we don't really need photographers. We got the
So
iPhone.
let's talk about that with how with COVID shutting down all these live events and all the stuff that you normally would have been working with, because I think you've worked with models too. We didn't even touch upon that yet. How are you guys surviving? Like, what do you guys do now? How have you transitioned?
Well, right now, I've been pretty fortunate because I have a second skill.
Oh,
Well, few photography skills where I can shoot headshots. So I've been doing headshots, and the headshots have been like, you know, pretty good for me, but you have to be careful because one of the things I have to do is I have to sanitize my studio constantly, keep it sanitized, keep the lights all going. When people walk into the studio, I take their temperature. I have them sign a disclosure, saying that, that they're okay. There's no, but
Mhm.
one of the things I do is I make sure I take their temperature when they come in, and then
Yeah.
the mask, and we abide by safety precautions. But I've been doing some
Mhm.
good shots, and
Praise
hopefully
God.
things,
Yeah.
things are starting to open up a little bit. So a lot of
That's
people
good.
we're going to the indoor eating and stuff now. So um, that's pretty cool. Getting back to, but I want to get back to like shooting the concerts. Like if you go into my Instagram, um, I joined Clubhouse and I got an evaluation for my work. And I got a great evaluation from my work and became pretty popular on like immediately on Clubhouse because of the types of images that I posted, like my music stuff. Like I have like this feeling about music that it's like focused, but it's not focused, but it's moving. You know, music is like
Okay.
that. It's focused. It's focused, but it's not
Mhm.
focused, but it's moving. It's just when as a photographer, that's the way that I see music, and I portrayed that on my Instagram page, and it was a thing that I just started doing where I knew how to manipulate my images and where is I can even play with my lens to get this effect. So,
Okay.
you know,
I've
um,
seen it. It's amazing. And you've also done portfolios online too. You started that where you would do headshots of people online. Tell us how that works.
oh, virtual, you talking about the virtual product?
Yes, virtual.
Yeah,
Hmm.
during COVID, I would be sitting, it was like you couldn't really go out, but being essential. And you gave me a fit because you was always like, why are you out there? Why are you out there with safety and everything? So I was like, okay, but I got to do what I got to do. I'm an essential worker.
Yeah.
So when I was running around the streets of New York, taking care of doing COVID, it was like, that was a crazy time because there was nobody on the streets of New York.
Hmm.
There wasn't anybody on the street. It was just very, very surreal,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I promise you, I'm still waiting for my headshots. Even though I'm out here on the other side of town, it's gonna happen. We could do it. We'll figure it
I'm
out.
telling you, the virtual headshots and the way that I did the virtual headshots, actually, I've done 8 already. I've done
Okay.
virtual headshots, and one of the virtual headshots that I did was I shot pictures of an oligarch's daughter in Russia,
Okay.
inside this Russian fashion place, and they just wanted a few pictures of her for this modeling agency. So there was a no touch thing going on, and she couldn't fly to New York, so they wanted pictures of her. So I photographed her virtually from New York,
See
and
that?
I started doing that with another friend of mine, who's my beautiful friend Shanu. Big shout out to Shanu because I know you out there. And I told her, I said, Shanu, I got to do some pictures. I need to shoot. I need to do something. So she said, okay, well, she went and she had the makeup done and everything, and I had her set up her iPhone,
Hmm.
and we did virtual photos you doing through FaceTime, and I
Yep.
had software that I would create this workflow, and I have this workflow where I would enhance the images and work the images so that it wouldn't look like it was, you know, kind of like a little bad looking image, So I would
Mm.
basically work that image to make it look like a normal, like you were standing in front of me in my studio.
Gorgeous. I've seen them. So I can't wait. You are just such a phenomenon. I am so blessed to have you in my life. And let's not, before I let you go, my other show that I have, Make the Cut, I want to thank you for being a part of that because anyone who actually makes the cut will get a chance to work with you professionally, and
Correct.
that's
That's
an honor.
that project that we're working on. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, amazing. I mean, they have to pay for it, but they normally, I'm sure you're going to help them out a little bit, though, right? Yeah. Thank
I
you.
got you. I got you, Dawn.
Thank you. So,
Anything else you want to know?
yes, last thing, you
Last but
do
not least,
volunteer work with the Marines. Quickly,
I
talk about
support
that.
I support my brothers and my sisters in arms, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Coast Guard. You know, if you serve, I support you. You know, I served 7 years, and I have a passion for my brothers in combat arms and stuff. You know, so when I served for an eight, actually, I worked for an organization that deals with our civilian wounded troops coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan. I volunteered the first year. The first year I was there, I volunteered, and then they brought me in as the director of photography for the organization after that. So, and what we would do is we would travel around the country, doing donor visits and bringing the troops that had just got out of the hospital, with these horrible wounds, trying to help them get their heads together as far as um, with their children and, getting back to their wives and, after being in the hospital all of that time, trying to reacclimate themselves back to society. And which is really, really hard when you have a 5, 6-year-old child who the last time they saw their father, he was like whole. And then the next time they see him, like he's missing his limbs and his face is disfigured and, and they're like screaming, this is not my father, this is not my father, So there's a lot of psychological things that goes on with the kids that come back. So we had like knockout sessions where we would bring almost 250 wounded troops from Texas to Orlando, and we would put them up for a whole week and have knockout sessions all throughout the week where they can go to all of these different countries who had rooms set up in the hotel so that this way they could have like sessions about suicide, sessions about handicap accessibility, companies that provided certain types of handicap accessible things, and I did that for 4 years working with our troops, and it was well worth it. It was well worth it. I wasn't working with a lot of celebrities at the time, but I did get a chance to meet John Kane, John McCain. I met him a couple of times, as well as I met President Bush as well too. It was like working with the troops was an amazing part of giving back, because you gotta pay forward. You really, when you have certain talents and certain gifts. Now, mind you, my life has not been all peaches and cream. I went through a point in time after my mom passed away where I didn't know what was going on with me. I had no idea what was going to happen to me or where I was going, due to the fact that I was going through a lot of things with my brother, and it just wasn't good. It wasn't good. I had no idea what was going to happen at the time.
But God brought you through it.
You get through it,
Yeah.
and that tenacity and that Marine go-to attitude and everything.
Yes.
It helps me to survive a lot. Because otherwise, I don't know. It'd be hard to really put up with some of the stuff that I've been through.
Well, you are a gift. I know your mom will be very proud of you, as I am of you.
Yeah,
And before I let you go, what is your Instagram account? How do they contact you?
Oh, my IG is just my name, Mychal. It's at Mychal Watts. At
Mychal Watts.
MychallWatts.
You are amazing, and I
music,
cannot wait. Say that again.
I say that you'll on the Instagram, you'll see like a lot of my music stuff, and then you scroll down, you'll see some fashion stuff and some celebrity stuff and things like that. But Clubhouse had me compile all of my favorite stuff that I enjoyed doing the most, and where I make money at, which was music. So that's why I put a ton of music stuff and just like flooded my Instagram with a lot of my music stuff. So that's what you'll see in the beginning. But anyway, thanks. I appreciate it.
Yes, you're welcome, and thank you for everything. We love you, mean it,
Yeah,
guys. Mychal Watts. Till next week, we'll see you soon. Thank you, guys. This is 15 Minutes of Fame with Mychal Watts. Love you, man.
Bye.